Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the second Mesospace webinar. Thank you for joining us today. I would like to start by acknowledging that I live, work, and play on the land of Ghana people of the Adelaide's Plain. I pay my respect to the elders, past and present, and extend the respect to Indigenous people across Australia and around the globe. Today's webinar is, as you know, is brought to you by Mesospace, which is a collaborative research-driven studio focusing on helping community design with confidence while honoring memory, sustainability, and also care. Based on the feedback, as Hamid just, when we were talking before starting officially, based on the feedback from over 150 attendees in our first webinar, we decided that today's session is best to be more of a masterclass with a stronger focus on practical examples. So I'm going to introduce the key principles, and Hamid will show how they work in real projects. Before we delve deeper into the topic, let us first understand and review. I'm 100% sure almost all of you are aware and know what is social sustainability. Just to fresh up. Today, we focus on social sustainability because it is one of the most important key principles in design. Simply put, it's about creating places that support people well-being over time. True inclusion, fairness, safety, and sense of belonging. In the context of cemeteries, they are not just, especially as they are not just the functional spaces, it means including cultural, social, and emotional landscapes, and make sure that they work for everyone, families, communities, staff, and also, more importantly, future generations. When cemeteries don't support cultural practices and social expectations, the impact is real. Families may not feel connected or able to carry out the important rituals. So, when we talk about social sustainability, it's not an extra, it's an essential. Why inclusivity matters? This becomes even more clear when we look at what is changing today. Our cities are becoming more diverse with very different cultural needs and expectations. At the same time, people want more personalized and meaningful way of remembering. We are also facing the land constraint, which is changing how cemeteries are planned and, of course, affects the strategies and approaches. If these changes are not culturally informed, they can all unintentionally exclude communities. And importantly, let us remember that burial is not just a service. It reflects identity, belonging, and then social traditional models of designing cemeteries, though strong and good, they might not be enough for today's needs. So we need systems that are flexible and culturally responsive. When it comes to inclusivity in burial design, the literature identifies 6 key aspects of inclusive burial design: ritual, flexibility, co-design, affordability, psychological safety, and adaptability. In practice, this means supporting cultural rituals, designing flexible spaces, involving communities and listening to them, keeping burials affordable, and also creating environments that feel calm and respectful, especially when people are going through hard time and grief. Build on these 6 principles Through research and also case study analysis, we developed and expand these six into 8 principles. I'm going to briefly introduce them, and Hamid will bring them to life through examples. Let us go through the first one. The first principle is respecting ritual orientations. Burial orientation is deeply connected to belief systems and identity. If it's not respected, the burial can lose its meaning. For cancelled and cemetery trusts, this means avoiding rigid layouts and allowing different orientation systems. It also, of course, requires identifying these needs early on and working with cultural and faith groups and in consultation with the communities from the beginning. Hamid, would you like to show how this works in practice, please?
Yeah, thank you. That's my pleasure. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Hamid, if you don't know me. And I'll go through the case study for this specific principle. Principle number one, respect ritual orientation. A good case study for principle one is Brent Garden Cemetery in Bern, Switzerland, which serves a diverse community by offering specific sections for Muslim burials alongside areas for Hindu, Buddhist, and Christian funeral rites. This is a masterclass in design. It doesn't look like that, but it is a masterclass, and I'll show you why. By introducing a simple 15-degree rotation, you can see that this is the vertical line and this is the rotation. The designers have successfully accommodated different orientation for various faiths, while also creating in-between spaces. This example shows that design does not need to be complex to be successful. In many cases, communities respond to more positively to simpler, more legible layouts. We will explore this further in next discussion, focusing on how to create therapeutic memorial landscapes. But if you're a designer, look at this design. There are some unfinished roads. The roads could be continued in the future. The orientation could be changed based on needs. Places can be occupied or removed. And look at the flexibility of space here. It indeed shows the fact that unmastered plan is the best master planning.
Okay,
Now let's go through principle two.
principle two. The second principle is flexible ritual spaces. Rituals like prayers, gatherings are central to grief, and they are vary across cultures, of course. So instead of fixed spaces, we need adaptable areas that can support different uses. This means designing flexible, shared spaces and integrating them into the landscape from the start. Let us see one of the good examples and case studies.
Yeah, a case study which I chose for this one is Faulkner Memorial Park, and this is the old section of the cemetery. When designing cultural landscapes, and really, to be honest with you, all landscape are cultural. If whether you're doing a park or cemetery doesn't really matter. We need to create micro spaces. Filling every part of the site just to maximize revenue often leads to cramped and less meaningful environments. In this case study, you can see the older areas of Faulkner Memorial Park. There are small pocket spaces that allow gathering, celebration, and quiet reflection. These spaces create a richer and more inclusive experience. The key lesson for designers here is very, very simple. Stop designing based only on your personal preferences and start thinking of micro spaces as the foundation of placemaking. A mix of small and large spaces support storytelling, movement, and connection in the landscape, which is what we should prioritize. While cemetery managers often focus on maximizing the yield, overfilling sites can reduce inclusivity and obviously social sustainability. So this example is a really good example. I hope that they're not filling up these spaces later on, But yeah, this is the original design of a cemetery with variety of inclusive spaces and gathering spaces.
Thank you, Hamid. The third principle is about family clustering. In many cultures, burials is collective and family expect to stay together. I still can remember when I was a child in my background and culture, Thursdays was the day that we used to go to cemeteries to pay our respects. And we had basically all family in one area, and from one cousin to another grandparents and another grandparents we could see the generation of people resting there, and it was some sort of family gathering to commemorate those that we lost. So separating them can create emotional and cultural disruption. Planning needs to let clustered burial and contiguous plots, while, of course, balancing privacy and openness. Let us see one of the examples.
Yeah, this is a very good example of social sustainability in United States, Riverside Cemetery. Look at this case study. It could be a masterclass by itself. You can see how thoughtfully the layout has been designed. As discussed, family clustering supports storytelling and encourages ongoing visitation. This is what we need, right? Helping to reinforce cultural identity and strengthening placemaking. In this example from the United States, you can see while clustering is proposed, there are no physical enclosures. Instead, clusters are subtly defined on the ground. This reduces the need for additional infrastructure, as you can see, saves spaces, and still maintains a strong sense of identity and place. The result is a landscape that supports storytelling, active visitation, and a clear sense of familial connection and identity generation. This is the foundation of social sustainability, and see how they set a lot of space by clustering these things.
And the fourth principle is allowing diversity in memorials. Monuments express identity and memory. When rules are too strict or rigid, they can limit cultural expression. So councils and cemetery trusts need to focus on safety, not uniformity. These are two different things. And let variation in materials, form, and symbolism. Let us see one of the examples.
Is a beautiful example for this principle, Chichicastenango. And I just, to be honest with you, I practice a lot to be able to pronounce this. Chichicastenango Cemetery in Guatemala is often described as the most colorful cemetery in the world. How beautiful is this space? Colors are carry deep symbolic meaning. Yellow represent the sun, while other colors reflect the favorite colors of the deceased. Each year in November or during the year, families gather for the Day of Death to clean, repaint, and reconnect with the graves of their loved ones. This creates a living and inclusive landscape where the boundaries between life, death, and social life are blurred. The cemetery becomes a place of gathering, celebration, and ongoing connection, not separation. If you're a designer, think about this. Think how, of course, you need to think about the safety, but look how organically this cemetery has grown, and look how fantastic is one of the visitation of this site has been really extremely high as a result of such arrangement, which is beautiful. And now let's go through principle 5.
Yes, the fifth principle is accessibility. Cemeteries are used by people of all age, ability, and often in emotional situations. So, accessibility is not just physical, it's about comfort, clarity, and sense of movement. This means providing shade, seating, clear path, and simple layouts. It's also need to be considered, of course, early on and also adapt over time based on the changes and the need of communities and, of course, the design needs. We are exploring this further later in more in depth. Hamid will go through it. But for now, let us go and see one of the examples.
Yeah, thank you. Go through this example case study, Rose Hills Memorial Park in Los Angeles. This is a fantastic example of how legible landscape could be designed. Rose Hill Memorial Park is a masterpiece of accessible design for landscape architects and planners. The design is not monotonous, yet it remains highly legible. Every location offers a unique view and a position within the within the larger site, while still feeling connected to the overall layout. Accessibility here goes beyond physical access and includes navigational, social, sensory, and emotional accessibility. Each section of the cemetery reflects the same underlying spatial logic. For example, the family cluster areas in the southeastern corner of the site, if you look at here, it's just replicating the overall DNA of the design, if you like. And if you navigate through the Google Maps through this site, you see how fantastic the unique design proposing a sort of sense of connection and navigation through the site.
The sixth principle is co-design. Cemeteries, really, any place who needs design and also it's going to provide services for people and communities. They fail when they are designed based on assumption about cultures. Real inclusivity comes from involving communities from the beginning and treating their knowledge as expertise. For councils and cemetery trusts, this means ongoing engagement, not one-off consultation, and adopting over time. Let us go through one of the examples.
Yeah, this is one example which we've designed, and this is Mesospace. And the location of this monument is in Iran. This is a memorial shrine, is a contemplative space designed to honor the memory of local fallen soldiers. This project is a strong example of cultural consultation and co-design. Working with the small rural communities, many of whom lost their loved ones in the war, the design was shaped directly by local voices. I personally sat down and listened to them what they need. They need symbolism, spatial layout, and accessibility. And therefore, what we propose is a memorial that reflects lived experience, not imposed design. Because of this space remains active in everyday life, hosting local ceremonies, even celebrations, and reinforcing collective memory. This shows how co-design creates places of ownership, meaning, and long-term relevance. And in fact, this is a decoration for a specific ceremony which is not relevant to death. It's just a social gathering and is wrapped around for some specific celebration. So you can see how you can bring life to the cemetery as a part of social sustainability.
The seventh principle is affordability. There is a risk of stigma when lower cost burial options are pushed to the margin. Inclusive design means integrating affordable options into the main cemetery and offering range of choices. Dignity should not be dependent on cost, and pricing should align with cultural needs. Comment?
Yeah. So this case study is really interesting in regards to showing affordability. The Woodland Cemetery in Stockholm is a powerful example of how cemeteries can be democratized. That's a very interesting topic, democratization of cemeteries. Designed as a continuous landscape rather than a class-based layout, this design integrates a wide spectrum of burial options, from free natural burials to more formal expressive family plots without separating rich and poor. Look at the design. The center of the cemetery is made of memorial forest, and you can use that space for free if you need. Then the designers proposed different grid systems and modular systems for more expensive methods of burial. So this is a masterpiece of design if you look at how they're connecting ecology with sort of different typology of burials. Its modular incremental structure is seamlessly embedded within a central natural landscape, and in fact integrating sort of economical burial with more expensive methods. Do we have that in Australia? Like if you want to really use that space, probably you're going to pay 10 grand plus, unless you're going to go to sort of social graves, I guess, as far as I know. So this is something that we need to think and learn from.
And the final principle is about adaptability. Cemeteries are long-term spaces and needs will change. So instead of fixed system, we need flexible stage approaches that can evolve over time. For councils and cemetery trust, this means modular design, ongoing review, and treating flexibility as strengths. Now, Hamid is going to walk us through the last case study.
Yeah. So the last case study for this section, part one, is Rookwood Cemetery. And a strong case study showing incremental and adaptive design in the Rookwood Cemetery. Its incremental growth has shaped a unique landscape character, strengthening social sustainability and inclusion. The cemetery grew in phases, like, for example, West Cemetery and then East Cemetery, now function as a hybrid of a heritage site and evolving landscape, and continues to accommodate religious burial needs, and demonstrates how cemeteries shift from active burial grounds to cultural landscapes. If if you look at the map to the right-hand side, you see the central section of the cemetery, I think is general here. It just grew organically. And then we got to the south of the cemetery, we got Catholic section, as far as I can see here, which got its own different grid system because of the directions, as Dr. Holden discussed earlier. And then you got the Anglican cemetery with different grid system, 90 degree. And this is serving another purpose for another religious group. This is showing that how sort of incremental growth can help cemetery trusts and councils to lead through the needs and requirements. And this is something which we propose for Carnarvon Park regarding to Metropolitan Memorial Parks in Sydney. Instead of having a wholesale development, this is a very good example from Sydney for Carnarvon Memorial Park in Sydney, that if we start as an incremental growth rather than a wholesale development, possibly it could be successful.
Thank you, Hamid. And to conclude this session, inclusivity, let us remember, is not achieved through one feature. It comes from aligning design, policy, and cultural understanding across all these principles. When this happens, cemeteries become more than burial spaces. They become living landscape that support identity, memory, and belonging. Thank you very much. Now I hand over to Hamid.